Hello and welcome to Raichious Reviews. I'm Matt Hancock, so today we're looking at Lion. This film has no lions in it. 0 out of 10, bad film. So this film is about a young boy called Saru who is separated from his family and is trapped miles from home in India. From there, he's adopted by an Australian family, lives in Australia for several years, and then finally starts looking to get back together with his family. Now, I'm typically I like to hear the bad news first and then the good news, so I'm going to talk about the bad stuff in this first and then get to the good stuff. Because it's the first thing that really stuck out to me when this thing began, and that's the cinematography. It seems to quiet down when they move to Australia, but when they're in India, there is definitely something off with the cinematography. In fact, I actually decided to make a little game out of it. It's called How Long Is This Shot? Turns out most shots are about 3 seconds long, and it's constantly changing. I guess when you buy like 6 cameras and place them all around your actors, you want to get your money's worth out of all of them. So you'll just keep switching and give everyone a chance. It is really obnoxious and didn't make a good first impression. But cinematography aside, I did warm up to the first half of this film. It's essentially mostly quiet since Saru can't speak the same language as anybody else. He's in far west of India in a very rural area, and then he's in Calcutta and he doesn't speak the language, so a lot of the time it is very silent and it's all visual, and it's really well done, and you really do kind of get the sense of like when something's wrong you definitely feel it. It's just to take a second how adorable the kid playing Saru is. Is this just a thing at the Oscars now that we're gonna have like one adorable kid? Like last time it was Rue, this time it's this kid. He's a pretty good actor as well. He really did make me believe that he was a little kid and not just an actor in a film. And that's very rare for child actors, so it's worth noting. Honestly, I hope nothing but the best for this kid. I hope he goes places. The first half is really strong, and then it starts to get kind of weak. And I can pinpoint the moment when the film starts to fall apart. It's around the time when he hasn't really thought about his home in a long time, and suddenly these memories start coming back to him. This is the part where he's actually trying to find his way home, and it starts getting very schizophrenic, I think is the word I would use, because he's trying to find where he lived, and it's taken him like 3 years, and he's like going crazy. It's driven a wedge between him and his girlfriend. He's estranged from his mother. He has this relationship with his brother who has mental disabilities, and he's worried about the strain that he's putting on his mother, and it's just all over the place. It kind of feels like the whole stuff with his brother could have been cut. I mean, the film's like 120 minutes, that's like 2 hours. You can afford to cut some stuff out. I know it's based on a true story and I don't want to get like the facts right, but this is a film, you can take liberties with stuff like this. But there is a good side to this, and that it does help build a connection with his adopted mother. And it is a very genuine connection. And there is a lot of very genuine acting in this. It just feels natural. And that leads me to Saru as an adult, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Sorry, Dave Patel. Why does that keep happening to me? Yeah, you probably know him from the classic Last Airbender as Prince Zuko. That's not really a knock at Dave Patel. He was like one of the few good parts in that film. M. Night Shyamalan seems to have like one good actor in most of his bad movies, and he and the guy who played Iroh were awesome. That is the only extent that which I am willing to actually give praise to Last Airbender. But wait, we're talking about this film. There really is kind of this sense of like he's a very upbeat guy, but he's hiding a lot of pain, and he hides it by being genuinely friendly. And he kind of loses some of that when like the film just starts to kind of lose the plot a little bit. But there is a sense that he is a very genuine and caring person. You can tell that he really does care about the well-being of his mother, especially, and everyone else. And it's just trying to balance that in his own feelings and not wanting to bother everybody else. He doesn't want to be a burden. And I can feel like that I can relate a lot to that feeling, and it really does sell it with the ending. I'm not going to spoil too much, but let's say it's a very nice ending. It's the ending you want to see at the end of this long journey, and you are invested in him, and it feels like a real payoff to everything in both the first and the second half. I promise that the second half with standing, it really does feel like it pays off. And unfortunately it kind of goes back to that fast cut editing later in the film when we start having shots back in India. I don't know, was it the team that worked there who decided we're just gonna go, just keep cutting, just keep cutting? What if I just like kept changing camera angles like every 3 seconds? That would be awesome. No, it would not. Okay, let's go to the final rundown. I'm taking points off both the cinematography during the shots in India, and I'm also taking it off for how the plot seems to kind of lose itself in the second part. But the first part is solid, it's got very genuine acting. Saru as an adult and as a child are both really, really well done, and there is a very strong connection with his adopted mother. And then another point again for that ending, which is it's just the ending that you want. So adding all that up, I'd say that this is a 9 out of 10 for me. I really wish that I could have given this film more praise. In fact, I've probably given it a bit too much praise, but it did strike an emotional chord with me, so that's probably why it scored as high as it did. I do have my problems with it, but they are outweighed by where this film shines, and it really does shine. And I wanted to talk about the fact that this is supposedly based on a true story. I say supposedly because I always take that with a grain of salt when you're talking in regards to film, because you don't know how much has been adapted and how much was kept. But the end of this film does have, it has like photos of the real life Saru when he moves to Australia, and even little details like the mother's hairstyle and the shirt he was wearing are spot on. And then we actually have footage of the real life Saru and his two mothers meeting each other. And it really does, it was pretty much the perfect ending that it could have given it. And I didn't want to include this as part of the rundown, we'll just include that as part of the ending, because I feel like a film should stand on its own whether or not it is adapted from something. This way I'm not getting bogged down with like, is this, you know, is this being true to the source material or is it not? A film should just be a film. At least that's the way I see it. And I think it's important to also point out that the film does have like an actual message behind it that is trying to bring attention to the fact that there's so many children in that part of the world and other parts of the world who go missing, who become lost and separate from their families, and they want to bring attention to that. And if you go to lionmovie.com, they do have information on how you can donate to help children like the real life Saru. They're cooperating with charities like, just looking at it here, Magic Bus, Childhood to Livelihood, Childline 1098, and Railway Children, which according to its tagline is Fighting for Street Children. So you can check out the movie site here, lionmovie.com, or you click on any of the links to go to the individual charities, look it up, and check out the movie itself. It's a really solid movie, really, really high recommendation for me. Take care.